Alright guys, how's it going, and welcome back and welcome to my review of the MacBook Air 2020 i3 Core or iCore 3 1.1 gigahertz with a overclock of 3.2 gigahertz Turbo Boost 2.0. So what that means in layman's terms, kids, is that if a program wants more than 1.1 gigahertz, it'll turn on those processors to zip them right up so that you can get some power out of this thing. Now, I do not use power saving features on laptops, whether they're on battery power or plugged in. I want all that garbage turned off because I'm not worried about battery runtime. I was playing on this thing for over 5 hours yesterday on battery, no power savings, running multiple programs in the background, downloading software, installing stuff, and then I went ahead and played a video game, aka Minecraft, and no problems. The thing didn't bug, didn't fart, didn't glitch. I was like, yes! So today, I was messing around with QuickTime. I wanted to see how the built-in camera would work, as well as the built-in microphone, because Mac machines that have built-in mics, like the iMacs and their MacBooks, are generally sucky mics. This thing has a really nice mic. It actually is better than the mic built into my iMac. I am very stoked and impressed. And the camera is the equivalent to my iMac. It's 720p, which is fine. It works rather well. Now, I could have went out and got an M1 book, except Best Buy didn't have any M1s in stock. And they are the same price as this one, which is kind of like weird. They didn't change the price. And it's like, And I didn't find out about that till afterwards, but oh well. I paid $1209.99 Canadian on sale for this one. Now, here's the little thing that's going to be the little butt kicker that kind of ticked me off today. I went on to everymac.com where I am now. This thing was introduced March 18th of 2020, this year. Discontinued November 10th, 2020, this year. That was only like 10 days ago? No, 20 days ago it was discontinued. It's not that they're not selling them or still producing. They're still producing, I guess, what they have. And you can probably still custom order this thing from Apple with more RAM and more hard drive. Now, this is a base level machine. So the MacBook Airs of 2020 are base leveled at 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gig hard drive. Those are the pre-builts that go into all the stores. If you custom order, you can get up to 16 gigs of RAM and up to a 2 terabyte hard drive, which is insane. Now, there are 2 Thunderbolt ports on this. Of course, one of them you can use for charging your battery. When you're done, you can actually use it for whatever else you want. I run on power all the time unless I'm going portable. So my battery is always topped at 100%, which is good. My second port here is taken up by my Focusrite box. And I got to remember to turn this mic off or I'll kill my battery. So I'm going direct in that way. Now you can get hubs. I do have a hub here that has 3 USB 3.0 ports. It's got the USB-C port as well as 2 card readers on it and an HDMI port. So you can put an external display on this thing up to a 6K display and really kick that resolution home. 64-bit architecture in this machine as well, by the way. Dedicated 1.5 gigs of Iris Graphics video. If you are playing Minecraft on this, you can definitely do it without a problem. You are going to have some limitations because Minecraft, to go to fabulous graphics, requires 2 gig minimum. So this thing cannot do the fabulous graphics mode, but it can do everything else really cookie. No problem there. And so I've pretty much got everything else maxed out for settings, and it's fine and pretty much fart free. So it's fantastic. It just takes a little bit, for the initial draw of the blocks ahead, but that's normal with Minecraft. Even on faster machines, it takes a little bit of time to draw all those graphics out. Nothing's like instantaneous too easily. It does have some draw time. Just some machines are a little bit slower than others, and that's okay. So what else do we have here? It is an integrated video card, by the way, so it has its own memory. Now, the native resolution is 2560 by 1600, 13.3 inch display, 16:10 ratio. Our second display can be a maximum of a 6K display at 6016 by 3384 resolution. That is just mental. Okay, So you can go 5K, 4K, 5K, 6K display off of an HDMI adapter, whatever, and you're good to rock and roll. Okay. Now, because the RAM and the hard drive and the video is all soldered on from the factory, if you've bought this as a base level machine, you're thinking, oh, I need to upgrade the RAM, or I want a bigger hard drive inside. You're yanked. You can't. If you want that stuff, you got to think about this ahead of time. Okay, because all the base level setups that they sell in stores, yes, you could get a 16 by half a gig probably in the Air or even the Pro if Apple put those out to the stores that way. Okay, our Best Buy in stock, nope, they don't have anything in stock past an 8256. So it's kind of like, but 8 gig seems to be very good with Big Sur. Okay. My other concern with going with an Air 2, I almost went with a used system. I was looking at a used Air, it had 120 gig in it. Then I started to investigate. Oh wait, I can't upgrade this, I can't upgrade that. Oh man, really? Okay, so now this MacBook Air does have a fan built in. The fan, even though it is not on the processor, will still keep it cool. Okay, fans are designed to draw heat out. This is a very thin machine. Okay, there's not a lot of airspace in there, but they do have an adequate enough fan to draw the heat out enough to keep stuff from overheating. However, there's a trick to this. You should get a program for any Mac laptop, okay, or desktop even that has a fan. Get Max Fan Control, okay? This is a free download. You can get the Pro version, but Pro version just unlocks a couple other features. But otherwise, just the way it is, it's fully functional. It does update as well when they come out with new updates. Now, this is keeping an eye on the airport card, battery max temp, battery sensors 1 and 2, CPU core, average, core 1, core 2 temps, CPU PECI, CPU proximity, GPU Intel Iris Plus graphics temperature, memory proximity, palm rest temperature, platform controller hub die, as well as the SSD drive temperature. And you can set it for Celsius or Fahrenheit. I have mine set on Celsius. And you can change the speed of the fan. Default setting speed of the fan, by the way, even from Apple, is 2700 RPM. It can zip up as high as 8,000 if it needs to. What I like to do is I like to run my fan about half the amount of power all the time. So I'm running around 4,000 RPM plus or minus a couple RPM because it's a fan and it's electronic and they always jump up and down a little bit. Okay, and that seems to be very adequate for keeping the temperatures down. So that fan was running at that speed even for over 5 hours last night. By the time I was done with my laptop last night, and I was portable, so I was strictly battery, I got over 5 hours, I was still at 38% of my battery. And that's with no power saving modes on. That's running a whack load of programs in the background, doing downloads, doing updates, and even playing Minecraft because I'm waiting for all this stuff to be done. And I'm not even farting out on Minecraft. That's impressive. That really has impressed me. I had a MacBook Pro that it was an older one, mind you, but it had a little bit more under the hood. And it could not perform as well as this thing does. This thing just, it does a really nice job. I'm very impressed with this machine, to be honest. Working with GarageBand, I have my own home studio here, so I do all my stuff. I'm my own one-man show, pretty much, unless I have a friend or two helping me out with a song. Otherwise, I use GarageBand, and I can do all my editing. I can do full mix downs, I can do all my EQing, I can do my effects, whatever I need to do on each independent track I can do. And GarageBand, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the best programs out there, and it's free from Apple. It comes with your computer. You don't have to buy it, and you can download every loop that Apple has in their arsenal, which I've done that too. So altogether, even with the games that I have in here, which are, I've got quite a few games, and of course I've got OpenOffice, I've got Handbrake, I've got some other utility apps in here I've downloaded. Everything has been fully updated 100%, including iMovie, of course, and GarageBand, because it comes with Catalina. And when you go to Big Sur, your GarageBand, it'll function, but you can't get any updates for it unless you go to Big Sur. iMovie will not run at all. You must run the new iMovie that's made for Big Sur, so you're going to have to update that. So you do have some updating to do. But even with all of that, I still have out of a 250 gig hard drive, I still have 167.69 gigs available. Okay, so that's only chewing up about 80 plus gigs of space with all of that, and I still have over 167 gigs free. I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. You know, like, that's fantastic. And I did build myself together an external SSD for backing up stuff. Plus I have what I call Kevy's Files. This has my entire MP3 collection. It has songs that I've done in the past, some files I still have to back up to an external drive, all my new Christian music albums that I have up to date. I've got another folder in here called Music to Listen to, and I got a pile of stuff in here as well. Just boatloads of music, among other things, and I'm only chewing up that amount of space. That's pretty good usage of the SSD space. As far as everything else goes, I think the display, the coloration, the clarity, the brightness is just really good. You know, like as far as brightness level goes, there's max. You know, I can turn it down a little bit, calm things down. There's about halfway. I kind of like mine usually about two clicks away from full. Of course, my audio is full blast right now, but I can turn that down. But I also have speakers I can plug in to really amp things up and get things rocking, especially with video games. It's a lot of fun. Now, I'm not going to sit here and play a bunch of stuff for you guys and go through that. There's tons of videos on YouTube of guys, you know, showing off and giving their opinion too. I'm just telling you from experience. I want to keep the video short as I can and still get that information out there from my own experience, which is different than other people's. So anybody who tells you that you cannot use this for audio production purposes is kind of like wrong. You can. It can do it, and it can do it very well and very seamlessly. Video editing, I've done some video editing on this, not 4K mind you, but I have definitely done 1080p and 720p. It works fantastic. I'm going to be trying some 4K stuff soon, and when I do, if I have anything bad to say, I will let you know. If I have something good to say, well, then I'll just say it now. It'll probably do a wonderful job. But it depends on how big those files are to how they process in. It takes time for any video software to load an entire file into itself before you should be messing with it anyways. So once it's loaded in, it's kind of like, okay, now does it fart? Does it do this? It may or may not. It depends on what you're doing. It depends on how you're editing. It depends on how many files you're trying to edit in one crack. Every computer is going to react differently. Laptops, I can tell you right now, any laptop on the market is not designed to be used as a full-fledged recording studio for pro-level use. Okay, so that's, you know, you're doing recordings for big bands and stuff. You don't be doing that with a laptop. You do that with a full-out high-performance desktop system. Okay, but for your own home stuff, to do professional level stuff, yes, you can do that, because you're also not doing it very often anyways. And even when you are doing it, you're taking more time because you're doing it for yourself, and you're going to be a little more picky, and it's what you want to hear. So you're now the musician and the sound engineer in one. Okay, so this is time consuming, but I'd rather take the time to do it myself than pay a studio for me to go in there and use their time up and pay them big bucks. I can do it all on this little MacBook Air and do just as fine of a job that's, in the end, perfect quality for going up and even selling those files on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever, DistroKid, and so on. Same as the video stuff. I mean, if you want better video than 720p for recording onboard footage to the laptop, get an external camera. Okay, definitely would recommend that, and forget using the internal camera. All right. So if you want better level, that's how you do it. I record the majority of my video on my videos on my channel on the camcorder I'm using right now to record this. It's a super ultra high definition camera. It works extremely well. It's not DSLR, but who cares? You know, and it works great to the 1080p. I'm not recording 4K stuff, but I do have cameras that are 4K, so I can actually do 4K, dump it into this thing, edit it, and you know, and I always take my time with editing because I'm very precise of where I want my breakups to be or transitions or whatever I want to do. So iMovie handles that stuff extremely well. Video Pad Editor is another program that's extremely good for doing that sort of stuff. And my wife actually uses Video Pad Editor. I downloaded their. It's functional, but there's some features you don't get access to that I kind of needed, and it's like, I'm gonna have to pay for it. I don't want to pay for it. iMovie's for free. I'll just spend more time on iMovie, and I'm getting pretty good at running iMovie anyways. I just got to ditch this Mac mouse and get a real 3-button mouse going that'll work well enough. I do have, of course, a keyboard on this thing as well. It's extended, number pad and all that. Because I like to play video games, I would rather do it on this kind of keyboard. And besides, it saves wear and tear. Now, the keyboard is the scissor switch. It is backlit as well. And I have mine set up so that after 5 seconds it shuts the keyboard down. So, great for nighttime, light up keyboard. You can actually sit in dead darkness of pitch black and play on your computer and not really bug anybody, hopefully. Anyways, there's no expansion slots per se on this thing, just the 2 Thunderbolt ports. The one you will be using, of course, for charging, recharging the laptop or leaving it on the charger. The other port is an open port. You can use either a single unit, like I've got a USB 3 to USB for just going to the Focusrite, or if I need more access to stuff, yes, I do have a hub I can use as well, which has USB 3s, a USB-C, as well as an HDMI, and 2 different card reader slots. And these things are very inexpensive as well, and very handy. I will say this about these kind of hubs though, and I will be having a review on this one specifically. Plugging in my Focusrite box and say a USB mouse at the same time, like a dongled wireless mouse. This will get warm. That is perfectly normal. It's not going to burn up. It's not going to kill your computer. Don't worry about it. I've been reading some reviews on these kind of dongles lately, and some of those complaints have come up. It's getting kind of hot, and is this supposed to do this? Yeah, well, it's electronics. It's going to. You're drawing extra power. It's not a powered hub. So you can't, even though you have a lot of ports, you can't fill them all at once, because even your Mac bus is not going to put up with all of that stuff at one shot. Not without being a powered hub. And we do have a powered hub in the house too. So yes, I could load this thing up any way I want. But anyways, so what else can I tell you about this thing? The network card in this thing works rather well. Although right now I have no internet access turned on. Connecting to our router on 5 gigahertz band, we have cellular router, so they call it a rocket hub, and this computer will hook up at about 210 to 220 megabits per second on 5 gigahertz, and about half that speed on 2.4 gigahertz. So yeah, 5 gigahertz, better way to connect. You get much more speed. If you want to have more surfing power yet, you're going to need a USB dongle type wireless system of some sort that is going to be compatible with the Mac, which means at that time you're going to need a hub, or you need a USB 3 version of the wireless. But then wait, where's your expandability? You're going to have to run battery power to run other devices off of a hub at the same time. So they should have put even 3 USB-C ports in, would have been great. So that is kind of a downside there. It kind of limits you in some ways. But yeah, if they would have put in 3 ports, that would have been better. And of course, the only other port you have is your headphone jack port for external speakers or headphones. And that's it. I mean, it's a thin book. It's very lightweight, very portable. I love the gold color. I wanted mine in gold, but they do have space gray and, of course, old fart silver, as I like to call it. I like gold and I like the space gray, but this laptop, I've been eyeballing it ever since the first time I seen the older models out, because they really haven't changed much physically on them. They've changed hardware, definitely, and they've gotten much better with the keypads and among other things. But otherwise, it's pretty much the same MacBook Air, right? And the first time I saw it was actually at Best Buy, and it was in gold, and I'm like, I gotta have that, you know. I'm so glad I waited, though, for the 2020 version, because the 2020 version has the new scissor key keyboard back, among other things. But I love it. It's a fantastic laptop. I'm sure it's going to do everything I want it to do and then some, because so far it's proven that it can really handle a lot at once and not get choked, which is very impressive in itself. If I do upgrade to an M1 system, I may go after the M1 MacBook Air, or I may go MacBook Pro. I am actually researching those right now to see what my best options are, because even though I just bought this one, I've been also looking more and more at M1 systems, thinking, well, maybe I probably should have gone M1 and actually custom ordered one too, because I would love to have one with like 16 gig of RAM, which is the most you ever would need. 8 gigs of RAM is more than sufficient, but 16 gigs is just a bit more edge for more freed up memory for programs. And I do want at least a half a terabyte to 1 terabyte SSD. I'd probably say no more than a half a terabyte, because even with this, I'll probably never fill this drive, because anytime I do something, I actually back it up onto an external drive anyways, so I can keep as much free space as possible on my main hard drive. You know, and if I ever wanted to go back to an older operating system like Catalina, for example, I could hook up an external drive, change it as a startup device, and boot from that device. You know, I could even put in Windows 10 through Boot Camp, do whatever, which is another reason to maybe go to a half a terabyte or even a 1 terabyte drive, segment the drive and put Boot Camp in and throw Windows 10 on and have 2-in-1. You know, I've done Boot Camp with Windows 10 on my iMac, and it's fantastic. And I do have Windows computers in the house as well. My main gamer system is actually a Windows computer. It's a custom system. But anyways, yeah, so that's fantastic. It's a great little machine. I'm quite happy. So where do I put this thing? Well, they should have added in another port, like I said. They really need another port there. For that, I'm going to knock a point. It ain't perfect either, so it gets a knock. I think overall, I would say, you know, if you're a light gamer to kind of medium gamer, this thing, just as is, will do the job just fine. Run time on the battery with power savings will give you that 11 to 12 hour range, which is what it's rated for, and everybody seems to agree. Without power savings turned on, I got over 5 hours and still had 34, I think it was 34 or 38% of my battery left. That was doing extremely well. So I could have probably easily gotten 8 hours before I'd have to worry about plugging it back in, and that's without battery savings. You know, so that's impressive. That's very impressive. Heat-wise, it does not produce a lot of heat, especially with having the fan set at 4,000 RPM. This thing runs really ice cold. So I'm quite impressed with that. Now, of course, the M1 machines, they don't have fans in them. This one still does. And a lot of people complain about the fan in this thing. What's it really do? It takes heat out of the thing. It's not... Before we go, I want to explain something to you people about fans and computers and processors here. And fans, period. Okay? Fans are not designed to blow onto your CPU, because if your CPU is already hot, you're just going to make it hotter. It's like blowing on a fire. You blow on a fire to make it hotter and burn hotter, right? Well, if you have a fan that's pushing air at it, it's going to make it even hotter and go poof, and it's going to fry. You have your fans set up to draw the heat away, not to add more. It's going to draw heat out. Okay, so you don't want to be blowing on stuff. You want to be sucking the air out, okay, to get the hot air out of there so that it would keep running at a cooler temperature. And that's basically what this fan does. It's in a corner, and there's not a lot of space in this laptop, but what airspace there is, it uses that airspace and draws heat away. It draws all the hot air away and exhausts it out. And that's how that fan actually works. So if you think it's not working and functioning, like a lot of people think it doesn't, it actually does work and function the way it should. Obviously, because even at 4,000 RPM, my stuff runs much cooler. If I turned the fan to 2,700, my temps would go up very quickly. So that tells you a lot about how fans actually work in computers. Anyways, that being said, I'm going to put my final score rating on this particular unit at, what should I give it? I'm going to give this thing a 4 out of 5. You know, it's losing a bit because it needs an extra port. That's a big thing. Like, one more port, Apple, is all you had to do. Just one, and you had the space for it. And of course, You know, even though we all don't like the fact we can't upgrade these things anymore, we can't really complain about that too much. And of course, it's not perfect. So that's where I am. Solid 4 out of 5. I think it's worth the money too. I paid $1209.99 Canadian for it. I'm happy with that. I would have been happy paying $1300 even, you know, which is what they normally go for, right? So I don't care. It's a good price. I think it's well worth the money, considering what this puppy can actually do. That has really impressed me. So very happy there. Anyways, that's it. That's all. That's my detailed review, and if you want to see anything more on this thing, be specific on what you'd like to see, and if I can assist you in that, I shall. If I can't, well then I'll tell you that I can't. So, there you go. And do stay tuned too. I've got a review coming up on this laptop, and I may even take the extra time, and put it on my PC laptop too, and, you know, type of thing. I don't know. Probably just concentrate on the Mac. I want to try and keep the video shorter. I don't want to stay here for hours, right? But I have not done a review myself on this unit. My wife has, so you can check out her review, Susan Millard. And this is on the Aplomb, A-P-L-O-M-B, USB-C adapter. Check that out on her channel. And then, of course, once I get my video up, you can check my review out on it and see what I have to say in comparison to her, because we sometimes do have different opinions on things, you know, especially when it comes to electronics. But that's it. That's where I'm at. Thanks for watching. Hey, if you're not subscribed, do so. Smash the subscribe button, nail that bell, and click to have all notifications, and as I upload new content, you shall get notified. And for all your computer spec needs, go check out everymac.com for Mac stuff. At least that's where I go to check out the majority of specs. Some things are not 100% perfect, so do compare them with Apple specs as well. But they do have a lot of detailed information that you don't always find at Apple on a particular system, and so it does help to check out that website, because that's where I went to get the full story of specs on this above what Apple even had listed. So anyway, I'm out of here. Ciao.